everyone, welcome to the second podcast of Design Atlas. I'm here with Mr. Boelen today in MÇPS recording studio, and this is a project of Design Atlas which is aimed to disseminate design through curatorial research, writing and media. So that's why it's quite important for us to have you here today. So you are one of the frontiers of the design and advocate of the design, thinking of design, rethinking of design. So it's quite important for us. This session we will be talking about your curatorial practice as well as your artistic director role at Z33 and also a little bit about the Istanbul Design Biennale which is coming next year. So I think you are quite busy with that at the moment. So without getting too much detail, because it will be tomorrow you are going to announce the theme and the strategy you will work. So it's quite interesting for us to watch you as always. So this will be a little bit like personal for me, because when I check you online, it's already there. So you have like lots of titles with like lots of interesting partnerships and collaborations. So without naming any of them, I thought it would be nice to have a discussion with you about your thoughts and your inspirations. So I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper on, like behind of all these creative projects you've done.
Okay.
And I'll start with the simple question. So who is Boelen? Actually, I'm asking that, like, how do you answer when someone asks simply, who are you, what do you do?
Oh, it's a very difficult question.
Yeah, so that's why I said simply to answer, because it's a lot.
It's really, but it's always like this distinction also about what is somebody doing and what is he, how is his life organized and so on. So to say it like that, I'm somebody who is observing life, everyday life. I like to observe issues, and I like to follow what is going on in the world. And what I specifically like is how that all the things that we as human beings and nature are creating, how that is affecting our everyday life. That is what you could say my main topic, my main interest. And you can say, yeah, you do several things and you have several titles. I always answer that that doesn't interest me, because I see it as one project. It's always like one big mess that I create in order to understand from different contexts and different situations the same thing, the same questions I have at a certain moment.
So it's all connected with each other.
Yeah, it is.
In your mind.
For me, it's just one project.
Okay.
So I don't approach it as different parts. And if it is like that, I cannot handle it. So then I don't do it anymore. Yeah.
So as a artistic director of Z33, I also would like to extend a little bit my question about your curatorial approach, because we know that you educated as product designers. So how it affects because I think designing and creating is almost the same process. So you are choosing the artist or the material, and then you are editing it, and then just
exactly.
like tangible objects.
So what is design? If you would say design is in fact putting information in a certain way together, in a constellation. You could call that a design. So that means if you have a certain material, you have a certain screw or an element or a little motor and a little brush maybe, and then suddenly that object becomes a toothbrush, an electric So that's a pile of information that you shaped in a certain form and that you are able to reproduce. So what you do so that you're able to reproduce, but also you make it in such a way as a designer that people are able, that they know if they see it, that they can take it, what they have to do, where they have to push a button or 2 times pushing it, and they get a certain feedback, and there is an interaction with that object. So indeed, I'm, as a curator, I'm also interested in this process of making exhibitions in such a way.
But it's always different formats.
Of course, but there is also, it's not only about the format is always coming out of the different contents that you produce and or the questions that you have, the different, so what I say often is that form is following content. So it's not only following function, it's also following content. So you choose the medium for the right message.
Yeah.
And so you curate, like you do here now, you curate a media program, a radio program that you broadcast live. And so that is a complete other choice than that you would present my head or my face in, or in a text, in a book, in a publication, or in an exhibition. It would be quite boring to have me in an exhibition. So I think it's these kind of, this is the right format for the right message and the right medium, therefore.
So I think it's, what you said is, you know, designer or creator as a mediator. So you're just like using, obviously there are other, you know,
that is for surely part of it, but I think it's a bit more, because that is where I think also a difference comes in, is that when you're a curator and you have a kind of background in design or in, you are also interested in the, I'm interested in the question, why do we need to design something? Why do we need an exhibition?
Questioning the question.
Yeah, and then when you find that answer, you start to develop, you research, you analyze the situation and so on. I'm also interested so in the why, and then also in that analyzing part, I'm also very interested in this questioning of a field of, but then also when you have it there, out there, and you make that exhibition of you have that product there, suddenly also all kind of reactions are coming, all kind of feedbacks are coming in again. So I'm also interested in that part, so the implications of your practice, yeah.
Yeah, so before going deep with the curatorial practice, I also would like to address your role in Design Academy Eindhoven as a social design MA course leader. So how it is affecting your research, being with the emerging designers, because we know that like it's one of the best design institutions. I mean, it's like obviously it's open to discussion, but like the way you having this always with the emerging designers and getting all the inspirations, I think as an institute, Design Academy Eindhoven is also quite like frontier as in terms of like they're trying to combine all the different design backgrounds, and they're gonna, you know, like make it like a collaboration between different courses. So it's kind of like inspirational for us to always see the outcome. Yeah. But I also know that like at one point you had to stand for what you truly believe, so you resign and then come again. So how this academia works for you? What is the challenges to be like educator, and is it always rewarding? Because I also know that like you are digging a little bit about the design education as one of your projects in 2013 was Salon del Mobile, reinventing school A to Z33, which was also quite interesting at that time. So how is it related with your research?
You could say that any museum is like Z33 is not a museum, but it is at least it acts also as a school. It is a place where I hope people go to and they learn something. And the methods where that we use in Z33 is like by raising questions, not by saying this is it or that or that. So by inviting artists, designers, architects and so on, we raise questions around certain topics. That's what I like to do, what I find interesting. It's not that we know what the truth is. There is not one truth, there are many truths. And the same thing you could also say about design education. And also, I think your remark was very good. I think the Design Academy Eindhoven is a very interesting school, but there are a lot of other very interesting design schools and places where you can learn about design. It doesn't have to be happen anymore, probably only in school itself. So what you can learn at what I do is together with the students is learning an attitude. It's more an approach. No, I would not say that as such, but it's true that what I hope is that we don't, in fact, we don't learn anything. So we only question the students. So what we do is we play kind of ignorant schoolmaster, and we always ask them, why are you doing this? What are you doing? How will you do it? For whom will it be? And we stress in our department, and then especially in my department, social design, what is the first why, and also for who. So the social, cultural, political part of design is nowadays not very stressed. The technological part, which is very strong and very disruptive and very important, is like undermining the social aspects. We think it's all about social media and sharing and so on. In fact, it is not. That we see the consequences. And secondly, it is the economy and profit that is ruling the market, if you still can speak of a market itself. So these are the determining aspects of design at this moment. So what I want to do, and also I think the Design Academy as such, is like stressing the cultural aspect and dimension of design. And we do that with the several departments by different ways, and each time what we say is what we do is designing design, rethinking design, redefining design, what it could be. So each time questioning it. And therefore I think everything what I do, and also the next Istanbul Design Biennale, will be an elaboration of that question. How can you, from within the cultural field, contribute to the discussion what design can be, what it can do, what kind of implication it has, but more this time on the how. What kind of interesting formats are there to question, for instance, education? What is then a school and an academy in the future of design? So that is what we are advocating.
It is quite actually relevant to the world at the moment. I think Bruce Mao was once saying that the word of design, design of the world. So this everyday approach of your research and your practice. So
I would like to add there two things. Is I would like that I'm not interested, like he said, it's not about the world of design, it's about designing the world, but I'm interested in designing life and designing society.
Yeah.
That is for me, and there the social aspect comes in.
I think we can see it on most of your collaboration and partnerships with Z33. So I'm gonna extend the question to like Z33 as a gallery, contemporary art and design house, as you mentioned. Always provocative, speculative, and looking at the things very critical in that sense. So being connected to all these like sources and always mobile, I guess. So how do you explain this need to have a physical space as in?
Oh yeah, that's a very good question. I think it's always very important to do that from a certain place in a certain context, because first of all, what I want to say is that I see Z33 maybe also not only as a school, but also as a place that is broadcasting. You don't have to go there, but we are sending this energy in the world, these questions, this so it's like a power station that is giving energy in the world, and hopefully inspire people with that. So that is important, and what we always try to do is because what is very local is also an issue more globally. It's not true what is local, that doesn't mean for people in Istanbul that can also be very relevant. So what is relevant here in Istanbul is also relevant for people in France or in Mexico or in India. So we can learn from each other, and therefore very local issues can contribute to global questions.
I think I will also ask about this. When you talk about these local, global, some say glocal issues, I'm gonna extend it to the Ljubljana, as you were the curator of Bio 50, and then it was also different format, but almost the same issue. Always talking about everyday life and how you. I think the way you combine it with the local culture and local partnerships was quite impressive, because it is still going on. So this year we can also see all these, like outcomes, and I think it's affecting the community there very much.
Yeah.
So I'm also kind of, once you said that, like is it true? But I'm just gonna ask that you didn't want to create a biennale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what changed your mind?
I hate biennales.
I think interesting, because you are doing it twice.
But I found 2 times a good reason to do it. I found 2 times. I think we have to rethink biennials as such. I don't believe in just parties. We really have to, in this society where everything is evolving so fast, we can, with cultural institutes and cultural initiatives, we have to keep on working to change something. So just like fireworks and then leaving is not what I want. What I want is really a profound change, and that is most of the time by connecting people with each other. Because if you succeed by bringing people together, not just by bringing people together at the opening reception, but on a more structural, in a more, how to say, profound way, where they collaborate together and they exchange knowledge, then something is fundamentally changing. Because then you make friends for years, you set up international collaborations, and that will last, and that's really sustainable. That's what this world needs. What this world needs is ideas that are exchanged. people and ideas are light, so they should travel. And materials are heavy and they should stay at one place. So we should start producing stuff here, but with exchange of ideas and people from everywhere from the world.
I'm gonna also ask about this initiative or maybe a project you will start, because it's also related to the, as far as I understand, European Design Parliament. So without being so cynical about the terms, European Design and Parliament. So what do you really want to achieve? Because it will be launched in next year in
So
it will be like 3 years?
It's of course a kind of provocative title. The word European, Europe is a kind of construct. Like every country, every nation in itself is a construct. It's a design. And that makes it also very interesting as a case study. So then the word parliament is like representing different players and stakeholders of society. And what we want to do is with all these different stakeholders discussing what design can contribute. Therefore, not directly to Europe as such, but building again kind of networks between different groups of people. I really believe that connecting diversity, different people, is very resilient and very important for society. If you keep on dividing people, we will have huge accidents. So the moment we will exchange knowledge, when we exchange culture, when we exchange history, when we exchange futures, or possible futures, we are bounding and people are understand each other better and build better futures.
So I'm trying to understand, you're already in a, I don't want to say golden circle or flying circle, because you know, like Josef Grima was one of the first Istanbul Design Biennale, which is also co-founder of the project. And now he is one of the, I think he is the artistic director of Design Academy Eindhoven. So in my mind, everything is super connected and it's like a little circle. Also Justin McCurk is from Design Academy Eindhoven and also advisory board of Istanbul Design Biennale. So I'm kind of like trying to understand what urged you to do that, because you are already in the circle. So do you think this like...
What we want is to enlarge the circle.
So
otherwise we stay in our small circle.
I can understand, but...
And what we want to do is, and it's still under construction.
Definitely.
So at this moment the idea is really to set up a kind of, I will call it very easily, then you, with the metaphor you understand it, a kind of flying circle, where people come together and they work together around certain topics. So that's what we want to do. We don't know if we will succeed because we are asking money at this moment. But we are already like announcing, because that also accelerates that people see it's real. It can become real. Yeah.
I think it's quite important, because the way that this attempt is also for me to dissemination of the design discourse, because I think, biennials and then design weeks happening very, like certain ways, and it's always in the same circle. And also the design writing and editorship is quite, like stressing at the moment. So we don't see so much like criticism about design. So
it's problematic.
Yeah, it is quite problematic. I think it's...
That's also why we have set up curating and writing within the masters of the Design Academy, because that is adding a layer of criticality in the departments itself. So by bringing in a group of people in between, where everybody is like designing and producing and making and creating, there is now also a group of students that is continuously questioning design from a complete other perspective than traditionally done. So I hope that that also will, in a couple of years, will also contribute to a larger discourse in the design field. So because they experienced, they followed the process of the making also, and that's fundamentally different. So it's not afterwards that they comment. It's like you also know that it's really difficult to do something. And if people see you struggling, they understand better the outcome, and the criticism is more correct. There should be criticism, but constructive, and also taking into account the limits and the constraints that you had to make it.
So I understand it is kind of like open platform for anybody, not for the network of yours.
Of course. Yes. Yeah. A parliament should be open and should give the possibility for people to meet and to discuss and to set up also different constellations and being for and against, but discuss about it, not just being against or be.
It is always inspiring to have these projects. I guess it's just like I'm quite interesting. I find it quite interesting to like at least someone is obviously, but to think about all these issues, not just in your circle, but notes of your network is what actually the tool you use as a format.
But what we do, or what I try to do a lot in the projects is also in BO50 and also I hope also in the biennial for Istanbul that is coming, try to create like open frames where different people with different thoughts, with different perspectives that can be very political, poetical, speculative, can contribute, but also somebody who is a hardcore industrial designer who is dealing with solutions, that they also can contribute to the discussion, but also scientists, also historians, also politicians, also people that are dealing with laws and legal issues and so on, but also social workers. And so design should not be in the center. Like again, it's not about the world of design. It should be about the topics that we are putting in the middle, and then we gather people around the table to discuss the topic and see what out of that discussion, what design can do with that.
I think it's also about the time that like we're now in. Everything is open source. Everyone can reach the information, and also like you were obviously one of the frontiers of the 3D printing exhibition at Z33. So with all this technology and openness and all like hyper connection, where do you think design world is going? So like it is a little bit broad question, but like I'm asking that what contemporary design creating wants really at the moment. It is obviously ever-changing subject, design.
What I hope, or what I think that is happening is that, first of all, what is sure is that a lot of professions are changing at this moment, and that's great. Designers act and architects act as facilitators, coordinators, curators. They do completely different things than before, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 60 years ago. So that is a great thing. So I see the field is changing. So the future, where is it going to? So I think it will be more hybrid than ever. It will become a kind of way of, not about a kind of way of thinking. I'm against, like completely against design thinking. It's even fascist.
I think it's passive. You know,
it's
like
passive,
thinking is super passive.
Yeah, but it's fascism because it's implying a certain methodology on somebody, and you have to rigidly to follow that. So, and you cannot even question it. You have to follow the methodology. So it's problematic. Yeah? So what we should do now, and it's really urgent, and is what is going on in the world with environmental issues, is that we should all act. We should do things. Everybody should do small things, and that makes it like a very fascinating, interesting time. And we have to find new ways of doing stuff. And that makes it, there the designers will play a very important role. Because they have the capability to imagine other ways, they have the capabilities to visualize the other ways, they have to make the capabilities to make things tangible. They can connect different fields of knowledge. They don't know exactly, but that doesn't matter. They can connect. They can curate the right people around the table and then say, let's have a discussion about it. I need to do this. How can we? So, and they also are trained to ask the right questions. I think it's very important to raise more and more the questions. If that's not me, but it was Cedric Price who said it. If technology, if architecture is the question, what was the answer again? Sorry, I mixed it up completely. Normally I did it better. But if architecture is the answer, what was the question again? If design is the answer, what was the question again? Do we need all that stuff that we are producing? Do we need it? Do we need an extra this and that? And most of the time the question is yes, we need it. You can find the needs to do it, but you have to be very critical. So also there, designers can play a critical role in development of all kind of issues that we are doing in society.
I think it was Laszlo Mahoney Nagy from Bauhaus. He said design is an attitude rather than a profession. Arguably, it is actually nowadays we can see around because so having this attitude to
I think for me the attitude should be a critical, constructive attitude. As a designer, it's a positive contribution to society. It cannot be just a negative. The artist can be without implications. He can just question and be critical. The designer, therefore, has another role in society, and that is, and he or she should take a stance towards a situation and come up with not only with critique, but also with an alternative, maybe.
Yeah, it is, I think, time to jump to this connection between like having these everyday life issues and rethinking everything. So the research you are having today, like nowadays about the Biennale, so tomorrow at 10 you will announce the theme of the 4th Istanbul Design Biennale. We are all super thrilled and excited about it, but I wonder that like how is your experience so far with the designers in Turkey, because it is, I'm sure it's like unexpected challenges or surprising experiences, if you can little talk about it.
First I have to say that I'm following the Istanbul Design Biennale already from the beginning.
Okay.
So the first edition, I was here. I was like super excited because that was like a new voice in the world of the design world. That means that the Istanbul Design Biennale is really a cultural institution internationally. So it is playing a very important role in that discourse. Secondly, I asked. So every time I came to the biennial, I also visited the exhibitions of the schools and the universities that were there.
In and outside Istanbul, or only
in Istanbul.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the last 2 months, I had the chance because they organized for me like trips to universities. I visited graduation shows. I met students. So I saw a bit the scene from within. I was quite surprised about the diversity, the amount of people that are dealing with it. If I'm not wrong, more than 30 universities are dealing with design and design education. So it's incredibly
diverse, I would say.
Yeah. So that makes it very rich. And I think a biennial can be an interesting platform where they all could come together. So that was a thing that I wanted to continue because that happened already in the past. I will do that probably in a different way than my predecessors. And secondly, so I also understood that I'm questioning and was looking for something that is maybe needed on longer term. So I hope this biennial will also change the nature of, let's say, the design field in a new way. So I hope what we will do will address and instigate something towards a new design, what you could say, design culture in Turkey. So it's very ambitious what I say now, but it has that potential. And let's wait and see, and let's talk in more than 1 year.
Yeah.
When the biennial is over, if what I'm promising now is like making sense or not.
Okay, so you promise us another record.
Yes.
Okay, another interview after Biennale finish. So to wrap up, actually, so as you said, it's also important for us to have this cultivating to design culture in Istanbul, in and outside of Istanbul, because it's usually tend to think that people think Istanbul is obviously the capital
center,
and the
yeah.
sources, but I think it's quite important. I'm also quite interested in what you said, so it's really nice to hear this from you. I think it's also important to speak up about the potential of Istanbul. So to wrap up, what is next for you? So if you know, like, just let's say Biennale is finished, so taking this tomorrow, announcing the theme of the Biennale.
I don't make
Plans.
bigger plans. I'm just rolling and looking what is coming on my path, and if something is interesting and gives me energy, I do it. If it and it should be worth at that moment. So I'm always often say I'm opportunistic. So I do what is important for me at that moment. The rest I ignore almost. So I don't know where the road. I'm more interested. I'm not interested in the destination. I'm interested in the journey.
Yeah, when you say like the energy, what the another question is, where is this energy coming from? From educating or?
Oh, it's certainly from, and that's the core from everything what I do. I'm so curious.
Yeah.
I'm like an annoying curious person. So that is like and that triggers me continuously. I want to know how this. What I want to know, in fact, what is on this paper. I want to know what is there under there. I want to know how this is made. I want to discover, explore, and to see what I can do with it. So that's my nature. Curiosity killed the cat. But sometimes I'm also like how is it? It's a very nice sentence. The blind man in the dark room that was looking for the black cat that wasn't there.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
It was quite inspirational. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thanks for the İKSV team, especially Bahar Türkay, for bringing you here today. I'm sure it will be awesome tomorrow. Good luck for the.
Hope to see you, and hope that everybody will apply, because that is what we will do. We will launch not only the biennial, but an open call.
Amazing.
Apply.
Okay, we will be following.
Good.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.